Hello and welcome to my channel Crying Fly. My name is Steve and today I will give some informations about openSUSE Leap 15.2 with the Xfce desktop environment after the installation. Okay, so we change to my desktop and then we start. So here we are, and the next one is we change to my program VirtualBox and running openSUSE 15.2. Okay. This is the first thing what we can see when we restart the system after the installation of openSUSE, and where we must decrypt our disk. And yes, so, and it's important that you know that the keyboard layout is in English. Okay, and I hope that you have noticed this one with the installation of openSUSE Leap. And yes, but when you don't know the password, then it's not so good for you, because then you have no options to decrypt this one, and so you must reinstall the openSUSE. So, and I must here repeat this one here, because I have 3 virtual disks, and yes, it gives a way where we have an option where we only have to enter the password once. But in this example here it's not so important, and yes. But when you're interested in, then it's good when you give me a comment here, and then I can make a video for this one, and yes. So, now we are here in the boot menu of openSUSE Leap, and now we have here the option to boot in the system. Now here we can here go to the advanced options for openSUSE Leap. Here the recovery mode, I have more as I have here another recovery mode also, because I have updated the system here. And yes, so we go back, and we have here the option for start bootloader from a read-only snapshot, and here we can see some snapshots what we can here select when we have maybe a problem in the future after an update. So we can select one of these points, snapshots here, and can then putting to the system. But it's important that you know that the system is a read-only snapshot, so you can't change any things on the snapshot. And yes, but we can change the snapshots to a read and writeable snapshot, but in this video I will don't show this. Okay. So we go to this one here and starting openSUSE. So here we have also the checkpoint where we must input our password. And then we can see here the desktop, but when you have unchecked the point how to log in the installation, then you come to the login screen, and then you must put in there your password for your user or the password for your root user when you have give another password to the root user. Okay, so and then we can see this one here. We have here the welcome screen, and we can see here the version of openSUSE Leap. We can see here the system architecture, and here the desktop environment Xfce. Okay, openSUSE Leap used version 4.14 of Xfce, and yes. So then we have here the basics. When we click on README, then we can see some informations. We have also some links here, and I think it's very nice to get these informations. And yes, so we go back, and then we have here the option for the documentation. And now we can see here the openSUSE documentation website, and here we have some options to select and file, maybe a PDF or EPUB. I think it's very good, maybe when we have installed openSUSE Leap without a desktop environment as a server system. And so we have a wonderful opportunity to help ourselves if we want to read something about certain topics. Okay, so I minimize this one here. Then we have the option to get software here in the internet. And we can here select distribution, openSUSE Leap 15.3, 15.2, and when we scroll down, and can we see here more Linux distributions. And yes, so we select openSUSE Leap 15.2. And then we can here search maybe for LibreOffice. And and then we can see here the packages, and yes, so and when we select this one here, then we can see here the version 6.4.5.2, the size, and the version of openSUSE. And we have here the option for show LibreOffice for other distributions. We can here select the show experimental packages. And then we can here select maybe the version of LibreOffice 7.0.4.2. And we can click on this one here, the one clicker, but I think it's important when you use these one clickers. So it can happen that you destroy your system with this method, and this were not so good for you. So it's better when you use the YaST control center for installed packages, or you search here for a package and then you change to the YaST control center and put this package name in the search bar of the YaST software center, and then you can install these packages. This is, I think, the better way to install packages, and yes. But when you know what you're doing here, then can you also use this method, and yes. So then we minimize this one, and on the right side we can see here the support for Xfce help, or we can here contribute and build openSUSE, and we click here on Xfce help. Then we are here, but we are here on the Xfce 4.16 documentation. This version comes to the openSUSE lib 15.3, but in this version of openSUSE here 15.2 we use the version Xfce, use the Xfce version, then we are here. Okay, so and then we have here the point build openSUSE, and then we are here on the open build service. Okay, so then we can closing this, yes, and then we have here on the bottom side the options where we can go to the channels of openSUSE, and yes. So then we close this and we go to the bottom side, and here we have the notification, and we can here configure this one. We can maybe here show the preview on the right top corner, or we can change this to the bottom right corner here, and here the applications and the log. Also we have here the options to activate do not disturb. I think this is a good option when you make maybe a presentation over a call, or you work on other things, and so you won't be disturbed by it. Okay, so then we come to the next. Here we can see the calendar and the time. Here we have also the option to configure this. And yes. So this one is for install updates. When our system finds new packages, then we get here a notification and we can here install this new packages. But I use the YaST control center for this one, or the terminal, and yes. So then we have here the network, but here we can see now the connection for Ethernet. When you have installed openSUSE Leap on a notebook maybe, then we can see here also the wireless network, and then we can connect it to the router. And yes, so here is the power manager. Oh, okay, we can see here the battery. It's maybe cool for this example here that we can see this now. Then we have here the options to activate the presentation mode, and this is very cool when you make maybe a presentation in the school. So don't go the system into the sleep mode, and this is very good. Okay, so then we have here the option for the audio. We can see here the audio player, broker, and yes. Then we have here the workspace switcher. We can here add new workspaces. I use most of the time 4 workspaces, but in some of my tasks I use more than 4 workspaces. Okay, so then we can close this. And then we go here on the left side. And here we have the options to minimize all open windows and show the desktop. And when I opening the home folder now, and then we can see here the file manager. Then we can see here our folders and devices. And when we click here now on this one, then can you see the file manager is minimized, and yes. But we have also here the options on the top side here on the arrow, and we click on this. Here we can also see also minimize this window, or we make this when we here change the workspace, and yes. So we close this one and come to the next, the start menu. I think it's very good for new users or for Windows users. They will change the operation system to Linux, and yes, we have here also the option to configuring our start menu here. In my case, I must clicking on the right mouse button to come to this one. We can here change the whisker menu. We can change maybe here the panel button from icon and title to icon, and then we can see here it's changed now. And we have also to switch categories by hovering, stay visible when focus is lost, comments, this is for this one here, search actions or the appearance here when we see this one here, and change this to show as list, then we can see this one here, and yes. So then we have here the search bar. Here are user informations. Here the settings manager, the button for lock the screen, and logout. Then we can log out, restart, shut down, and so on. Then we have here our favorites applications, and here can we see this? We silently use it, all applications, and here we have the categories, accessories, graphics, internet, multimedia, office, settings, system, and the YaST-Tool. And yes, so we come to the accessories. And here we can see now the calculator. This is the calculator in the version 2.1.4. It's very simple and fast, and I think it's very good. You can here change the view to scientific mode, paper mode, and yes. So then we have here the mousepad as the editor. And yes, screenshot, Tuna as our file manager, Emperor for archive manager, so we can create and modify an archive or extract an archive. We can rename multiple files, and here we have the program for password and keys. Yes, we can use this, but I don't use this in my case, and yes. Okay, so we close this. Then we come to the graphics category. Here we can see the document scanner from Chrome. Oh, okay. 3.34.2. Then we can see here the LibreOffice Draw, Shoot Well. I think it's very good when you use when you connected your camera with this computer, so we can import our photos with this program here, and we have also an option for create folder, and yes, it's very good. And this is the version 0.30.10. Then we have here the Restretto image hero, the version 0.10.2, 0.10.0. GIMP. So we have here, after the installation of openSUSE, the program for manipulation our images, and I think it's very cool when we have here, after the installation, we have programs for the web browsing, for use an email client, or for manipulating our pictures. We can here play some music, or movies. We can here write some documentations, can create presentations, and yes, it's very good. So we come back to the GIMP. Here we can see the version 2.10.12. And yes, so we come to the next category, Internet. Here we can see the Internet browser is here Firefox. In the version 78.8.0 ESR, and yes, and we have here the email client Thunderbird. The version 78.8.0. I think this email client is a very good program for when you were writing your emails or get your emails, and I use this program, and yes, so and then we can see here the Tiger, Fluency, View, Reminar, and Pigeon, Transmission, and yes. So then we have here the multimedia category, Braga for play some music. It's very simple, but I think it's okay. You can also here create playlists, and yes. Then we have here the media player Parola. The version 1.0.5, and here it's important. Oh, what? Braga is in the version 1.3.99.1. Okay, so we come back to the Parola, and Parola has the version 1.0.5. and it's important when you play some videos over the internet browser or here with Parola, or you will play some music files, then it's good when you install the codecs from the Pacman repository, because there we get some codecs for access to playing more video files. Okay, so we close this. And we come to the Office category. We have here the directory, the document viewer, the X reader in the version 1.6.2. And LibreOffice Base, Calc, Draw, Impress, Writer, and yes. And this is the version 6.4.5.2. And yes. And we click maybe here on the writer document, and we can hear writing some thing. Okay, we close this. And then we have here the settings, screensaver, power manager. Yes, it's the same when you click here, and we can see this one here. Okay. So the system, you can see here the disk utility manager from GNOME. Here, the version 3.34.4. And here we can see now my virtual disk. You can see here the encryption looks 1. And here are our partitions. And yes. So then we have here the option for print settings, task manager here. It's very simple, but I think it's okay when you don't use more as this one here. But I use the GNOME system task manager. Then I think it's better for my task, and yes. But this one here is also good, and yes. So the welcome screen here, the tuner as our file manager here. And here we have our folders, documents folders, downloads, music, pictures, and so on. And yes. And the tuner version is here 1.8.15. And yes. So the terminal, YaST software. And bulk rename, yes. Rename multiple files, yes, okay. Okay, then we have here the YaST sender. What is the difference between the YaST control center, and here the settings manager. In the settings manager we can configure all these points here in personnel category and in the hardware category without any root privileges. And yes, this is the different to the YaST, and the system and auto here. And for the system we need the root privileges, and yes, so we opening the YaST control center. And it's important that you use the password from your root account and not from the user account. But when you have selected the same password option with the installation of openSUSE Leap, then you can use this one here. Okay, so now we can see here some points, and here on the left side we have also some categories: software, hardware, system, network services, security end users, virtualization, support, and so on. And when we go here on the top side, then we can here see, then we have here the options to install or remove add-ons, products. We can here check our images, or DVD and USB drives. We can here update our system. We can here install or remove software packages and other things. Then we have here the options to configure the software repositories. We're clicking on this now. And here we can see what has openSUSE configured with the installation. And here we can see now our installation drive, and this one we can delete, and also this one here we use only these 4 repositories for our system. Yes, but when you use maybe your system without any connections to the internet, in some tasks it's better when you don't use the internet for install packages or make an update, then is this point here better for install the packages or update the system. But in the normal case we don't need this one here, also these repositories here. So, and when you maybe install the Pacman repository, then you must click on Add. Then we have the options to add on product. We click on Community repositories. and now we can see here the Pacman repository. Also we can see here the NVIDIA graphics drivers repository, untested updates repository, yes, and here the libDVD CSS when you need encrypted DVD support, and yes. So we cancel this, go back, and when you have add the Pacman repository here to this list, then it's important that you change the priority of this one, maybe to 98 or 90. And yes, because it's important when you have added the Pacman repo to this list here that our system priority the Pacman repository, and so we get our codecs and new updates for the codecs from the Pacman repository and not from the normal repositories from openSUSE here. Okay, so then we can here look to the GPG keys. Can here refresh, and yes, so we click on cancel, we click on software management, and here we can see now the search bar here on the left side, and here we have many options what we can do in here. We can here change the view to patterns, to package classification, languages, repositories, and this one we need when we have added the Pacman repository, then we must click on this repository and switch the system package to the repositories, and yes, so then we can here change to the search and installation summary. So we go back to the search bar, and when we search maybe for Libre, then we can see here on the right side now the packages. Here we can see the current versions, and when you here see the versions has in blue color, then it's the notification for a new update, and yes. So then we can here, when we click with the right button from the mouse, here are some options we can keep, delete, update or protect it. So when we have here a new version and we make an update, then can we make this package or program so that they doesn't get the new version. Okay, so then we can see here on the bottom here the description tab, the technical data, here the installation version. When we have here a new version, then we can see this on this side here. Then we have here dependencies, versions. This tab is maybe important when you have an NVIDIA graphics card, like as me. I use the NVIDIA drivers from the community repository of openSUSE, and I have also added the NVIDIA CUDA repositories. And then we can here on this tab select from which repository we will install the NVIDIA drivers. But it's not good when you install the NVIDIA drivers from the CUDA repositories. I have installed the NVIDIA drivers from the NVIDIA community repository because the NVIDIA drivers from the CUDA repositories can make some problems when you install Flatpak. Okay. Then we have here the file list and the changelog. Okay. So then we come to this one here, and we have here the options where we can change the search mode, and yes. So then we have here on file the options to import or export. Yes, when you click on import, then we can select an XML file. Maybe when you install some packages here, then we can all these packages what we here must install manually, can put this to the XML file, import this one, and click on accept and install these packages. That's very good and fast, and it's faster when you install this system on other computers where we also need these packages or programs. Okay, so then we have here the package, the configuration, dependencies, options, here system verification mode, clean up when deleting packages, allow vendor change. This is important when you make an update or upgrade the codecs with Pacman. But I think in this video I don't show you how you can install the codecs with Pacman and so on, but you can find in my video descriptions a link where you get a manual for installation and configuring the Pacman repositories. And yes, so then we come to the extras, and here this option is very important, because here we can see all changes after an update or installation and new package or program. And yes, here on the left side we can select a date, and we have here the option to search for the updated package or program that makes here maybe the problems. And yes, but when you find a problem here with a program or package or another one, then it's very important that you create a bug report and send this one to the openSUSE community, and so another users a chance to solve this problem, or they don't get this problem. And you can find also this link in my video description. And yes, so now we're closing this. Then we can here generate dependency, resolve a test case, install all matching recommended packages, and yes. So we close this. Then we have here the options for view hardware information, system keyboard layout, printer, scanner, and so on. Yes, here we can. Yes, here we have the options for creating a mail server, NFS, a mail server, and TFTP server, Samba server, or and so on. And I think it's very cool. Now we have here a desktop system, but we can also change this desktop system to a server system, and I think it's very good here. And yes, so, and this category is security and users. We have options to change the user and group management maybe, or the app armor, firewall, and yes. And on this point here we can install the hypervisor and tools, maybe Xan or KVM. But for my example here I use the VirtualBox, and yes. So release notes, support, and here we have also some important options for us. Here we can display the system logs here, and this one is also important when we search for a problem, when we have some problems after an update. And yes, also you can look in this one here, system journal, and yes. So then we have here the alternatives, manage, update, alternative switching, vendor driver, install a driver from a vendor specific medium, and the last one is very important for us because here we can manage our snapshots. Here we can see it now. We can see here the ID. And here we can see the type, single, pre and post, the start date and the end date for deleting this screenshot here. The description and the user data. So we may, when we click maybe here on show changes, then we can see here the time of taking the first snapshot and the time of taking the second snapshot. Okay, cancel this. and we can modify this one here. We can here change the timeline or number of cleanup algorithm, the user data, and yes, and we can here creating a new one. Description, can select a single snapshot, pre, post, parent, with. This is the pre-version of this one here, and yes, this one is very important for us to use the snapshots. And when you will that I make a video for this one here, then where's good when you're writing me a comment, please. And yes, so but in this video I don't tell more about this one. And yes, so we're closing this. Then it's important when you install this system, you also change the host name. Here, and configure the network. So when we click on the host name, because we can see here now, seeing here the name of our machine is localhost. And here where's good when you add a new one. One to 7.0.1.1, and here you give this one a name, maybe crying fly, and we click on OK. And then we can see here the new host name for our machine, and cancel this, yes, and then you must also change this one here in the network settings. Okay, we go to this tab here, hostname and DNS, and here we must also change this one here, and can here give this crying fly, or you can here put local, and yes, so we cancel this, and that was for today. So I thank you for watching. And if you liked my video, then where's good when you give me a thumb up, please. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel Crying Fly. And don't forget to click on the little bell here, so you don't miss any news in the future. Okay, that was, and goodbye.